Hi, Kellen here from SkilledHub.com. In this video today, we're going to go about how you plan for a home renovation. It's a big thing. It's something that you need to make sure that you have all the steps in place to really undertake a project of that scope. It's important also to make sure that you understand the different phases and to start early in planning a home renovation. Of course, depending on the size of that home renovation, it may take longer to be prepared to ensure that you can actually undertake this home renovation, but also to line up any skilled professionals that you need to get that home renovation complete. So, in this video today, we're going to go through how to plan and get ready for a home renovation. Stay tuned. So, you're looking to undertake a home renovation. Super exciting. A very awesome experience. Are you looking to do it yourself, be more of a DIYer aspect, or are you looking to hire contractors? Two really big things to keep in mind throughout the entire process. And also to keep in mind if you're going to do different aspects yourself and hire contractors to do other things. So keep that in mind when you're developing your home renovation plan. So, to do a home renovation, many people think they can just pick up the phone, call a contractor, and get started like that. Well, doesn't always happen like that. A lot of contractors are really busy, especially with all kinds of things going on, and it takes time to make sure that you can line up your contractor, get your materials, and really have your plan in place to make sure that the contractor can give you a hand. So, the most important thing to do if you're looking to do any type of home renovation is to plan ahead. Get started early. Really do some research. Really understand what you're looking to do with that home renovation. And then start the process. So, the first step in undertaking a home renovation, and again, this video we're going to be focusing on a really big home renovation. We're going to be looking at maybe updating 3 or 4 rooms in a house. Looking to update the home to something that the new homeowner would like it to be. Again, that's a much bigger home renovation project than maybe something small, like maybe getting your front foyer refloored, maybe looking at painting a few of the houses. So again, this process, can be always scaled down or scaled up depending on the project scope and what you're looking to do. But for today's video, we're looking at a larger renovation. So again, for any type of renovations project, big or small, it's always good to start early and have an idea of what you want to do, especially if you're looking to have a contractor come in and do some of the work around your property, and also especially if you have some upcoming events or things that you're trying to get ready for. Selling your house, big birthday, wedding ceremony. It's really important to start early for those because things can get busy, things can get a little bit delayed depending on products, supplies, things like that, so it's always better to start early. So, the first step you want to do is develop a detailed plan. What do you want to do? Ensuring that you have a project scope, and we've created a video that talks about project scope. It's important to have that project scope in mind, especially when you're looking to plan a big home renovation and involving maybe multiple contractors and looking to go out and get multiple quotes. So, again, first step is developing that project scope. Detailing what you want to do, having a budget in mind, looking at a timeline, and also looking at if you're looking to do some of the work yourself or get contractors for the full thing. Important thing to have in mind, especially if certain things need to be met before different contractors come in to do the work. So, first step in any type of home renovation is put together a plan. Get your project scope that includes a budget, timeline, and a detailed plan of what you want to do. And again, this home renovation plan, for our particular example, is a big one. So we're going to phase it in because going without several rooms in your house, including a bathroom for a long period of time, can be a big challenge. So we're going to phase in these developments over a period of time. So in my example, I'm looking at renovating 2 bathrooms and my kitchen. Some big projects. But like I said, I'm going to phase in the bathroom renovations just to ensure that I'm not going without a bathroom and have to maybe rent a porta potty or other items as well to make sure that I can, going without a kitchen for a period of time, use the barbecue, use outdoor space, make a kind of a fake kitchen or a model kitchen with a few things. Easy to do, but it's important to make sure that you understand how long the project's going to go for those types of things. So again, having that detailed home renovation plan is so important. Step 1. And in part of that as well is now setting a budget and looking at how the budget's gonna work. So the idea is you have a budget in mind. For my renovation, we're looking at about a $20,000 renovation project. Relatively, that's a pretty big budget, but then it also could go larger. So I want to make sure that I'm putting in different contingencies to make sure that I have different contingencies in place. Again, for renovating 3 rooms, things can potentially get a little bit expensive, but it's good to have an idea of what that budget is in mind. But again, having a ceiling, ensuring we have contingencies in place. And a lot of that can come when you're developing your actual project plan, but the next phase is really looking at your budget and setting a budget. Do I have the money now? Or am I looking at, working throughout this process, and by the time we get to different phases, I will have enough money to pay for the project? Very important things to keep in mind. Also, if you're looking at maybe pay as you go, something to consider is to make sure if something happens to have a contingency in place. Especially if you're starting a project, when the money runs out, things can get challenging. Things may get delayed, things may get stopped. So things to keep in mind is looking at the money, setting that budget. From speaking with homeowners and contractors, this is one area where it can get really challenging, especially if they're having to buy materials and the contractors are having to upfront a whole bunch of costs. They need to get paid. They need to make sure there's money coming in so they can continue doing the work. So something to keep in mind, especially when you're looking to hire contractors. But setting that budget now and having a detailed payment plan of how you're going to be able to pay and cover the costs of the renovation is important, as well as allocating some contingencies, a little extra. Hopefully nothing happens, but it's always better to be prepared. Again, you'd hate to go, project gets delayed, project gets stopped because there's no money available. It does happen, so it's better to be prepared from the outset. So, number 1 was developing that home renovation plan. Number 2, looking at the budget, really understanding the budget details and really making sure you're able to cover the costs if something does happen. The next thing, now that we've got basically our project developed, our renovation plan, our project with our project scope, as well as we figured out the budget details, we can afford it, we're good to go, we have all the money right now to kind of start this project. Now it's time to start looking at hiring some contractors and identifying what parts of the project I'm going to do myself. So for myself, I'm going to demo myself. Not a problem. Lots of fun demoing, but making sure you demo in the right way is very important. But I'm going to hire contractors to come in and actually do some of the rebuild as part of this project. I may do a little bit of the flooring myself as well, but I want to make sure that it works with the contractors that are coming in to do the other work. So again, having this from the outset before you go and hire contractors is important, because then you can have the good discussions with them and get better estimates and better pricing. So now looking to hire contractors, it's important, and I have a couple other videos about hiring contractors and some things to keep in mind, but I always go back to this idea of the rule of 3. I want to get at least 3 different quotes from 3 different contractors about doing these different projects. So I'm going to go out and start contacting some different contractors. And as the process of doing this, I'm going to also do some research to make sure I'm hiring good and getting quotes from good contractors, people that I trust, people that I've seen their reviews. I'm also going to prepare to ask different questions and things like that. So in a video we have as well, it's all about hiring contractors and the top 5 tips. So definitely check out that video and help with hiring a contractor. So when hiring a contractor, again, you want to go out, rule of 3, get at least 3 quotes, sometimes 4, depending on the scope of your project. That being said as well, some people may go with someone they've worked with before, they have a really good relationship. That's important. The most important thing with hiring a contractor, again, we say go out and get 3 or 4 quotes just to make sure that you feel comfortable with the contractor and with the price you're paying. The idea of 3 or 4 gives you kind of a good idea of where that project cost would be to make you feel more comfortable. But if you feel very comfortable working with a contractor you've worked with before, great, go ahead and do that. Because at the end of the day, it's all about your comfort level with working with that professional. So, just to recap again, we've got designed our project plan, we've set our budget requirements and how we're going to do that. Now we've gone out and hired some contractors. As part of hiring contractors as well, it's important to look at, again, a variety of things when looking to hire them. I said reviews and ratings, it may be good to look at experience, maybe some past jobs that they've done. Have they done things that are very similar to your project? Those types of things. You can ask these questions. Always feel free to ask questions, because at the end of the day, as I've said, It's all about you feeling comfortable working with that professional. So ask all kinds of questions. I know when I first started, hiring contractors, I would ask all kinds of questions, and I'd feel so terrible because I'd be almost playing 21 questions with the contractor. But it's important to ask these types of questions. What is your experience? Have you done projects like this before? Do you have any pictures of past jobs? What type of contingencies do you normally put in place for this? What are your thoughts on this project? Can it get done within my allotted time frame? Are there special things that you may require? Do you have insurance? What does your insurance cover? Again, look at all those things and ask those questions. You got to feel comfortable doing the project because you hate to start a project, feel uncomfortable, and then that's when things can happen. That's when projects, again, get stopped, delayed, things can happen. So make sure that you feel very comfortable with working with that contractor. Ask friends and family, a big thing that they do. Use reputable sources to find people. Use SkilledHub.com's task portal to figure out different contractors you may want to work with. All you have to do is post your project details and the contractors will contact you. So, now that you've gone your project plan, you've set your budget requirements, you've started hiring some contractors, now we've got to get into timeline. So again, this timeline piece really should come into your whole renovation plan at the very beginning, but now let's get into actual, when is our start date? When are we starting? And when is our end date? What are the things that we need to have on site by this time? Again, setting up a proper plan with timelines is so essential, especially if the contractor is looking to bring in machinery potentially for an outdoor renovation. Materials, making sure that the delivery schedule of those materials fits with accessing the property. Especially if you have things that have to go inside, maybe in a garage, you'll want to make sure that someone's home to make sure that materials can come inside and be safe. So setting up a proper timeline with a start date, end date, identifying all of the key things, a payment schedule, putting that in there as well is an important thing to do to make sure that you know when payments have to come out, make sure that when the money has to be available, that's a really good thing to put in there. Depending also on the project size, you may want to put in some communication or touch point meetings is what we call them. Basically opportunities for you to communicate with your contractors. How's it going? What's happening? Are we on schedule? Have you had any delays? Are there things that we need to work on? Just to make sure that if there are things, you'll know along the way if you have to make changes. Again, something that people set up in a timeline, especially with their contractor they've hired, to make sure that they are both on the same page. Okay, every Wednesday we're gonna have a quick coffee meeting. We're gonna chat about how the project's going. Great idea. Or every day at the end of the day we're gonna do a little bit of a recap about how things went. Again, all depends on the project size, but also setting up something that you're comfortable with. Again, you have to understand that the contractors are busy. They have lots of things to do. They want to make sure they're getting things done, so they may not be able to spend hours and hours, with you in conversing. A great thing to do is always, have a quick chat, get a touch point, figure out if there's any things that we need to identify, change, the plan needs to change. Very important things. But again, at the end of the day, they're there to do the job. So make sure you don't bug them and take them off the job. But setting up that proper communication plan and setting up with those timelines and putting in a calendar is so important. So timeline is big. So the next big thing is to pack up and prepare. So, especially if you're looking to do multiple rooms, bigger projects, you're gonna have to make those rooms empty. You're gonna have to move things. You're gonna have to make sure that the space is safe and ready for the contractor to come into. So make sure that you pack up the areas. Make sure that you're moving the items in the room so the contractors don't have to come in and do all of that as well. Making sure as part of your timeline to identify these will all be empty by this date, and then you'll be good to go at it. So make sure you put that in place as well. So packing up and getting ready. The other thing is maybe you have to rent items. Maybe you have to bring in, different things to help offset some of the spaces being worked on. So for instance, in our example for this video, a kitchen renovation. We need to make now a mock kitchen somewhere in the house. So maybe we look to go outside, use the barbecue, maybe bring in a propane stove, looking at ways maybe moving the appliances from the kitchen into the living room or another space in the house so that you can actually have a working kitchen while the renovation is going on. So again, making sure that you're prepared and packed up, the space is ready, it's safe, good to go for the contractor is important to have done in advance of the start date. So, recapping, basically the top 5 things for when you need to consider when planning a home renovation is number 1, project plan. Getting that renovation plan, that project scope, everything set up at the very beginning is so important. Number 2, is looking at that budget, setting up how the project is going to be paid for. Do you have all the money up front? Is it something you're going to go as pay as you go? You're working to make the money every week to pay this. And again, ensuring you have contingencies in place to cover those costs is something really important in case something does happen. Number 3 is looking at hiring those contractors. So again, asking the questions, making sure you feel comfortable with your contractors, maybe using the rule of 3 or 4, getting 3 or 4 quotes from different contractors. Ask the questions, make sure you feel comfortable before hiring that contractor. Number 4 is timeline, setting up the job timeline, a start date, an end date, and everything in between, including payment schedule, communication or touch point meeting dates, delivery dates for equipment, materials, making sure they have access to the space, so important. And then number 5 is packing up and making the space ready and preparing if you have to have a mock kitchen created or moving things outdoors so that you can actually use the kitchen and cook food and take advantage, because that renovation may take some time, or maybe having to rent a porta potty or things because the bathroom is not going to be usable. So having things in place and packing up and making sure the space is empty and ready for the contractor to hit the ground running is so important. So again, to cover how to prepare for a home renovation, get a project plan with project scope, make sure you understand how the budgets for the job is going to work and how it's going to be paid. Number 3, feel comfortable hiring those contractors or understanding what work the contractors are going to do and you're going to do if you're looking to hire them. Number 4 is bringing in the fact that you want to make sure you have the timeline set up. And then number 5 is making sure that the space is ready to go, so as soon as that start date hits, the contractors can hit the ground running. Alrighty, well, good luck with your home renovation projects. Let us know how they go. Love to hear from customers all the time about using these videos, as well as how their home renovations go. If you're looking to hire contractors, maybe consider using SkilledHub's Task Portal. Lastly, if you like this video, please like and subscribe to our channel, because we'll have many more videos coming your way.